Hey guys, what's up? It's Sarah here. Welcome to my channel. If you're new, please think about hitting that subscribe button. If this is something that you guys are into, welcome back. To all my other subscribers, you guys are the best. Thank you so much for being here again today. All right, you guys, so I am gonna show you all my propagations. I've got quite a few going, but I did recently do some plant trades, so I gave some of them away. But I'm also gonna be showing you guys all the things that I've gotten in the mail, if I've killed any, or how they're doing with their root growth, how I have them set up. Now, you can propagate a lot of different ways, and I do have a couple different ways that I'll be showing you. So if you guys are interested in seeing that, please stay tuned. So if you don't know what propagation is, it's basically where you can divide a plant or you can chop a plant up. If the plant has a node, you can stick it down in water, soil, or wet sphagnum moss, and it can create roots. So I'm going to be showing you guys some of the different ways that I like to propagate. Normally I like water propagation. That has just what has worked best for me forever and ever. But recently I started propagating in sphagnum moss, and I really like it, and I'm very surprised because I'm strictly a water propagation type of girl, but sphagnum moss has been doing it for me lately, especially with how I have it set up. I have a bunch of jars, and I'm gonna go through and show you guys that. So let's go ahead and look on this table right behind me, and I'm gonna grab some of the jars and kind of show you how I have it set up and what the roots are looking like. So let's get into it. You can use any kind of containers you want, whether that be Tupperware containers, which I've done that for a long time, but I like the glass. Now, it basically creates just like a little terrarium. So here is this one. As you guys can see, I have sphagnum moss in there. You can see all the condensation. Now, I'm just gonna open this up and show you guys what I have in here. So I recently got a Hoya macrophylla, and I'll show you guys that. It's over here. And I was separating it out because I wanted to share it with a couple people, and I broke this stem off. Now, this is how I have it in the container. As you guys can see, there is moss on top of it, so I always make sure to have some moss on top of it. Basically, what I'll do is I pour the moss in a bowl and I wet the soil, whether that be with a spray bottle or just a bottle of water, and I mix it all around, and I get it nice and wet and I put it in here. Now, I like to keep it damp. I don't want it sopping wet, but you'll know when it starts to dry out. So I do have two little Monstera celtipicanas that Sam from Sassy Succulents sent me, and these were struggling in the water, and I actually lost like two little stems to water propagating, so I decided to move these over here, and they have roots. I'm really excited. I did just pull them out the other day, so I know they do have roots. Okay, so let me show you this one. The Hoyas have little tiny dots on them. You can't really see because these roots aren't huge, but I'll show you in the next jar. And out of all those little dots, these tiny little roots will form. So this one's still a little bit floppy, but I feel like it's gonna make it. And then the other two, they have roots because like I said, I checked them not that long ago. But I just like it to be down in the moss with some moss covering on top of it, like that. And I like them to have a lid. They seem to be doing really good with stuff that has a lid like this. This jar, I was wanting to make a terrarium, but when I got these cuttings from Sam, I decided that this is gonna be a new little propagation jar. So here it is. This is what it looks like. And let's go ahead and look at the inside, and let me show you guys, because this is insane how many roots it's growing. So let me just pull out this little arm. Here's what the inside looks like. And this little arm right here is even growing roots out of it. Isn't that crazy, you guys? How insane. So I know it has roots. I've already checked it, and I have a little bit of another Hoya in here, but look at how beautiful this is. Now, I did pull this out and check it not long ago, so I'm not gonna disturb it. I'm just gonna leave it in here. But if you guys have a jar or container, it's just awesome. Then basically when I touch my hand down in here and I feel like the soil is starting to, the moss is starting to dry up, I just take my little spray bottle, which I'm gonna show you guys what I use. This is what I use, and I am a hairstylist, so I got this at the supply store that I go to, but I believe that you can get them off of Amazon and probably Sally's Beauty Supply. This is a mister, okay? So it's not a steady stream. I'll show you it when I pump it. Do you guys see how it's like a mist? Yeah, it's really cool. So it's a giant mist and it just helps a lot without having to like just soak your plants down. So I really love this. Get one of these if you guys can find one. And I don't know, they're not as cheap as like a dollar store squirt bottle, but I think I paid like $6.99 for this, or it was under $10, I believe. Next up is this little Monstera celtibacana, and here it is in this, and one little Hoya linearis that broke off. Now, when I'm propagating, I feel like I go back and forth to, I want to leave a long stem on things, but you're gonna have better results if you chop them up. So at first I just left this like one giant stem, and some of it started to yellow, so I chopped it up and I put 2 pieces in there, and then I have some little separate, but I did lose like maybe 2 pieces. But this one's starting to grow roots right here in water. Here it is, it's got some little baby roots on it, and so does this Hoya linearis. So yeah, I just have that over here right in front of the window. Let me grab my other things. Then another thing that Sam sent me was this Philodendron bipedifolium, and I had it in like a tall little jar, and I noticed the roots were all growing up and they're still doing that. So I put it in this because what I might end up doing is when this leaf unfurls, chop that off, and then that way I'll just plant it right into the soil. So look at how crazy this is. Let me get out of the frame so it'll focus. Isn't that insane? The roots are growing like straight up, and then up here at this other node, it's starting to grow a root. And so I put it in this jar to give it more room to spread out, but it's just still growing straight up. So this one's doing awesome, and it's getting ready to push out this new little leaf. Once this leaf comes out and it's doing good for a little while, I'll probably chop it and just stick that down in water, and then I'll plant it up that way, so it'll be like 2 stems coming out. But I was so excited to have this, you guys. She was so sweet and sent me like the best stuff. Let me show you one more thing that she sent me. I pretty much will use whatever I have, and this I had for decoration just like in my other room, but it's perfect for these. So here it is, this Monstera addisonii. This is the wide leaf form. Now, when I first got this, it was like one giant stem, and I did stick it in water that way, but it just was not doing good, and I lost the bottom leaf. So I quickly chopped it up because it does better chopped up, and now it's growing roots like crazy, and this one's actually pushing out a new little baby. So let me show you what the roots look like. Look at how awesome, you guys. Yeah, these root up so good in water. I feel like any kind of Monstera addisonii do best in water. There's its little baby, and here's the roots. And all of them except for one is rooting. Now the one in here that's not, I did decide to chop it a little bit closer to try to maybe get it to produce some roots. So all of these are have produced roots except for one. So I consider that a win. You know, if you lose one leaf, it's fine, but none of them are yellowing or anything like that. So I think they look really good, and they just sit right here in front of the window. So I think I have like one more little jar right here behind me, and then I'll show you the really fun setup that I have underneath my table that I just rigged up. I have this little jar that's looking probably a little bit grimy of, what is this, pothos and addisonii. And one more thing that I do, if you guys are using jars, I like to take bread ties. So I take bread ties like this, and I just tie them around here. That way it keeps them all together and they're not just sinking in the water, and that has been a lifesaver for me. And I have another tiny little jar. These little jars actually go into a propagation station that I have that I picked up at Hobby Lobby that's in my other room. But this is just some Cebu blue. Next up I have this begonia. Here's what it looks like. It's pushing out little roots. Now you just want to make sure where there's a break, where the node, just cut right below the node. That's where the roots shoot out of. This one is growing so wonky and crazy. I'm probably gonna have to lose that bottom leaf just to be able to plant it in soil. Here's what he looks like, and tons of roots growing in there, as you can see. Definitely not ready yet. I had a ton of glass jars that had lids on them. I bought them all to use at my wedding. I didn't end up using them, so I thought this would be a perfect thing to propagate some stuff in. Now, I had a Sissis discolor, I guess it was like either a year or 2 years ago. It was huge and beautiful, and I killed it, and it was basically just stumps, and the stumps were not doing anything at all. So I put them in these cookie jars, you guys, and they're coming back to life. I cannot believe it. So I'm gonna show you guys my setup. Boy, now I did not invent this with the jars. Now I have heard the Not Dude talk about them as like a magic cookie jar. Put your plants in here if they're struggling. And I've seen other people. So what I did is I have this little light right here. Now this little light I just strung up. This was left over from a kitchen reno at my in-laws beach house. This came out of there, and I decided to save it, and I totally forgot I had it, and I just remembered recently. I was like, oh, I can tie this up. So secondhand stuff, same as this table, secondhand. I got it for free. So let's go ahead and take a look at all the things that I have in here. Anywho, this big boy, my cats were in here, and my cats tore up my little aloe I have right there. That's why there's soil on the floor. But let me grab some of these jars, and I'm going to show you guys what I have in them. But yeah, I really love this little setup. And then right here above it, I usually just keep this door open like this, and I clamp a little light on there, and I shine a little light at the things that need it. So yeah, I love this whole little setup right here. And next up is this cute little jar. Isn't it adorable? And inside I have some Philodendron micans, and I have a ripple peperomia. It's the peperomia frost, and they're doing great in here. Now this, I do have it in soil because they were in water, and I felt like they were enough to get planted up. So I'm just kind of using this as a planter, but it's grown a ton since I put it in this little jar. And of course, once it outgrows this jar, I'll move it into something else. So isn't that adorable? Get out from under the table. Can you guys see him? Get. He loves to climb under the table to try to get his back scratched. Okay, so next I have this giant one. Move, you're in my way. This big one, look at how big it is. Now I was wanting to do like a terrarium in this, but I just decided to propagate some stuff in here. So here it is. Let me show you what's, where am I gonna put this? Show you what's inside here. I'm gonna have to edit this video a lot because I am all over the place. Here it is. This is what I have inside. And I do just have my gloriosum stump in here. Saddened to say that I killed the leaves off of it, but it seems to be doing pretty good, and I think I see one tiny little growth point on it. So hopefully it's liking life in here. You know, I feel like I did too much with it. I had it like in soil originally, and I moved it around. I should have probably just stuck it in moss and put it in a container from the beginning, but I didn't, so I lost the leaves. It is what it is. So yeah, all of these are doing good in here. Here he is. This is my Sissis discolor, and just a couple weeks ago it had no leaves at all, and look at it. It is sprouting up so much. I do keep him in between two jars, and I have just been spraying him with the mister, and it's coming back to life. I can't believe it. So I'm really excited about this. The only reason I don't have him in a jar is because I don't have a jar that fits him, and he seems to be doing okay, but they're responding really well to this light, and they were just these stumps before, no growth at all, and I thought I totally killed it. So don't give up hope if you think you've lost a plant, because there can still be some life left in it. Look, this is a perfect example. I have this jar, and inside I have a little pot in here, and I have some Hoya cuttings. This is what it looks like. How stinking cute. Do you guys see this Sissis? I cannot believe it, but it is growing so much. It absolutely loves this jar. Literally just like a couple weeks ago, it had no leaves at all. These jars are a lifesaver. If you guys can put some of your plants that are struggling in jars or containers or Tupperwares, do it, because this has saved this plant. I'm not kidding. I can't believe that I'm bringing, basically, is it 3? I have 3 of these back to life. So let me show you the other one. This one is the biggest jar that I have. Do you guys see how big this is? And in here, I just have this plant. Oh gosh, if I don't break it, I'm just gonna hold it a little bit when I tip it. So I just have this Sissis in here, and if you guys can see, it's got a vine. These had big long vines, but nothing was happening. And now on the vines, it's pushing out little babies. I cannot believe it, but this guy's doing really good. I think he's too wet. I need to let him dry off a little bit, so I'm probably gonna leave this lid open for a little while, let him air out, because I think it's too wet in here. I'm gonna keep all these in this jar, in the jars, until they outgrow them. So here is this Hoya. I know it's growing really good, so let me just show you. Here is what the inside looks like. How awesome. And this one's doing the same thing as the Propagating splash. Can you see in here, the little vine is producing roots on it. So I know this guy's rooted up. What I had propagating in my kitchen, I just grabbed and brought in here. Let's go ahead and look at the not so good things. This sad monstera that I've killed, I have him in water, and he's actually producing some roots for me, so hopefully I'll be able to save him. There it is, and this is just an aerial root that it has a bunch of roots coming out of. So yeah, so hopefully I can save this guy and bring him back to life, but I will lose this leaf. It's just kind of sad. And the other leaf was getting ready to produce a new leaf right here, and it died, so I had to cut it off, and I was so mad. So yeah, this one's gonna be a little experiment. Then other things that aren't going so well, I overwatered my moonshine sansevieria, and it started getting like rotted in this whole section. So I chopped it up and just stuck him in here. But I've never had any success with water propagating sansevierias. I've tried two things. I've tried to let them like dry out and kind of callus, and they just seem to keep getting mushy on me. Like, this is what happens. They just get mushy. So if you guys have any tips for propagating sansevieria, please leave them down in the comments below so you guys can help me out, because I have some more over there and they're just doing the same thing. They're just getting mushy. So I don't know what I'm doing. I obviously don't know how to do it. Just have some Scindapsus pictus argyrius, and this one's needing water right here. And it's hard to keep them in here because the stems are so short, but they're growing roots, so there they are. Okay, so next up I have this lemon lime philodendron in here. There they are. And I just have some rubber bands around this bottle to help keep them in place. And if you guys can tell, I also have them tied up in a bread tie, and I just use some little bobby pins to help keep them in place, to help keep them upright. I just have this Philodendron cordatum, or Hartley philodendron. When I redid my whole setup out on the sunroom, I knocked a bunch of branches off, and so I propagated them. I have sent 2 of them to people, but this is what is left, and I have it rigged up right here on this little straw, and I'm going to show you guys why I have them tied to this little straw. It helps them stay upright so they're not just falling all over the place. So this is what I did. I tied them to a little bread tie, and I tied them to a straw, and look at the roots, you guys. They're doing really good. Then that way they don't just all fall in, they're able to just kind of stay up. So I have them jerry-rigged any kind of way you can get them to stay in the water. But yeah, the little straw method, it works for me, so I'm probably going to continue to do that. It just helps keep them in here and keeps them upright. See, where they're not sinking in or falling over, and it works. So figure out any kind of jerry-rig type way, you know, just do it, get it to work. That's everything that I have propagating right now. Now, I have done different methods. I have done soil before, and I use old Tupperware containers. I'll use like old restaurant containers. And I have done the Ziploc bag method, where you moisten soil and put it in a 1-gallon Ziploc bag. Then you just, you know, blow air into it to create like a terrarium. But I found that soil propagating, I seem to always get fungus gnats. I guess because it's such a wet environment. I don't know, I'm just really loving the sphagnum moss with the big jars right now. Also, I was gonna give you a couple more tips. Make sure to check out your local thrift store if you guys are looking for some containers or jars. They seem to always have stuff there. This giant jar I got right here. I paid $3.99 for it, and you can't buy a jar for $3.99, so I got this one from a thrift store. So make sure if you're looking for some items to check your local thrift store. Also, I was going to tell you guys that I use anything left over, so old jelly jars, salsa jars, also salad dressing bottles, like the glass salad dressing bottles that are taller. I just clean them out really good and I use those for propagation. So be creative. I've also done like regular jars and put saran wrap on top with rubber bands. So if you guys don't have any jars that have lids, think about using saran wrap, you know, to create the terrarium type environment. But I'm really loving the sphagnum moss in the jars right now. They're bringing me plenty life at the moment, so I'm just gonna keep doing that. Also, water propagation, you can't go wrong with water propagation, and I would suggest when you can remember to refresh your water on your water propagation, they seem to do better. Also, another tip that I was gonna give you guys, if you are having trouble getting roots on certain types of plants, cut a pothos cutting and put it in the water with whatever plant. So like my begonias, if I'm having trouble getting them to root, the pothos has a hormone in it that helps produce roots, so it will actually help other plants produce roots, which is pretty cool. So I do normally chop up a pothos and put like one little piece in each of my jars if I can remember to, because it really does help. So that's just another little tip. But I just want to say thank you guys so much for watching and liking. If you guys enjoyed this video, please make sure to give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to hit that little bell. I'm on a random posting schedule, so if you guys don't want to miss any of my videos, make sure to hit that bell and you'll get a little notification every single time I post a video, so you guys won't miss anything. But yeah, I just want to say thank you guys so much for watching and liking and subscribing. You guys are the best. I'll be back at you guys again soon with another video. Bye.
Bum, 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 bum,